Hello and welcome to another episode of French Ear Trumpet. I'm Andy from AJ in France. I'm with Colin, as usual, from French Countryside Life. Usually we come together once a week and just talk about stuff that interests us, or it could be French related. Sometimes is, sometimes isn't. It depends. So welcome to this episode. We're just going to go through some of because it's almost a year, would you believe? In March, it will be a year, which is...
Our first episode came out on March the 9th, episode 1. And in all honesty, we were struggling to find something to talk about. And we just thought, you know what, there's such good stuff on here. It's such good stuff. I had a look through earlier, and it's really good. So if you've got the time, just go back and look at some of the older ones or some of the ones that you missed. And I think we're on. Let me just check. I think we're on. Let's have a look. We are on 33. So there's probably 34 hours of content
of us.
Yeah, of us, yeah.
Not just us, but yeah.
Not just us, actually, no. But yeah, and some of it's really, really good. Myself.
It is really good. I've been having a look through. But first of all, just want to go over some of the comments from last week, because it seems like there's a bit of a trend and everybody seems to be talking about hydrogen-powered vehicles. And there's quite a few comments on that about maybe that electric vehicles are just a stepping stone to a hydrogen future. It's quite interesting. I think that people are in the mindset at the moment, if you've got a car and you're starting to run out of fuel, being able to just pull into a gas station or petrol station and spend 5 minutes max, and then you're 100% ready to go again.
Yep.
And I think people really want to cling on to that idea. So they look at hydrogen as a solution to that kind of problem, I think.
Plus, it's also, certainly on the BMWs that I used to drive, get a full tank of diesel. I could do over 700 miles on a tank of diesel.
Yeah. I mean, the range is massive, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, because
it meant I could drive up to Scotland on one tank of diesel.
Yeah, it's so energy dense is diesel that you know, you get, well, it's the most, I think oil is probably, someone's going to correct me, probably the most densely packed energy wise fuel that there is. I think it's oil. So yeah, and I think from that perspective, people generally don't like change. They like to be able to just roll into a petrol station, 5 minutes max, and then you're out with 100% ready to go again. Yeah. And if EVs could do that, so you go in there, you just plug in, 5 minutes later you drive off and it's 100%. I think people would just accept it, because
I think it probably needs a breakthrough on the battery front, doesn't it? Or as you say, some kind of breakthrough that will enable a recharge or a battery swap or something like that.
Yeah, but what I was going to go on to say is your life isn't like that unless you're a professional driver. Nobody really does that. So you've just got to change the way that you do things. Like for example, I charge mine up, plug it in when I get home, go to work, come home.
For your scenario, it's perfect.
But there's not many other scenarios. I mean, unless you travel for a living or you're a professional driver.
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean.
That's got to be less than 15% of the population.
I understand completely what you're saying. John Rodley Battin. Hi, John. He's got a lot to say on it. And one of the few comments that he's made is he says, electric car development haven't taken into consideration people that don't have a private parking space at home.
Yep.
So that that is a real issue.
Well, it depends where you live, I guess. If you lived in a well, let me just think. So the last time I was in London, so London is probably different to the rest of the UK because the infrastructure is much, much better in London compared to anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of public charging bays.
Yeah.
But most of the houses don't have driveways.
No, exactly. No.
So that would be a big problem. You'd have to find another way of doing it. And it's difficult to think out what that would be. You'd either have to go to another place to charge it. So I'm thinking supermarkets or places like that. Or while you're doing something else is what I mean. So like if you went shopping, you could charge it up. Or if you were at work and work provided parking with...
I think it's probably a shift in people's expectations and a shift in people's thinking, really. So obviously it's completely different, but probably when people went from horse and carts to cars, horse and carts to the internal combustion engine, people would be thinking, well, I've just got to make sure that the horse has got some hay and a bit of water, and it'll walk forever.
Yeah, I know.
Stopping the car to keep putting petrol in it, which is,
I think
it's just a paradigm shift, isn't it, in people's expectations?
It is, but I think equally you're right that it wouldn't suit everybody. And if you haven't got any place to charge it up at home,
that's it.
I think I would go for a more economical petrol car or something like that. But I probably wouldn't go for a hybrid unless it was a plug-in hybrid. But then you have the same problem. So
yeah,
hybrid, you get the worst of both worlds, really. It's just more stuff to go wrong. Just buy a reliable, smaller engine car, I think.
Another interesting comment from John Rodey batting. There was a chap on one of the Scottish islands making hydrogen with solar and running his car on it, and the government were trying to work out how they can tax him for the fuel he's producing. This was quite a few years ago. So I imagine that island's probably not there anymore. It's just a smoking hole in the sea.
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Making your own hydrogen. That is another problem, of course, isn't it? But that'll be interesting. Do you know what that reminds me of? And this used to be quite a big deal back in the day, sort of like 90s, maybe, late 90s. People using oil to run their diesel cars.
Yeah. Chip oil from the fish and chip shop. Yeah.
I remember looking into it, and there was a certain type of fuel pump. If you had it, you could just literally pour in a mix. Yeah. And you could go to Costco's and you buy 20 litres of cooking oil for half the price of diesel.
Yeah.
Which, that was I was on the edge of doing something with that.
But I know there was people knocking on the back doors of fish and chip shops,
straining out the scraps. Nice. But biodiesel's another one. But I don't know. Have you got any petrol stations in the EU that sell this new 98 ethanol stuff? Have you seen that?
Yeah. So not so much petrol stations, but certainly at the supermarkets. Because I didn't realise until we did one of these episodes that the E number shows how much ethanol is in the mix.
That's right. Yeah.
So so there's quite a wide range. I think the lightest it goes is E85, isn't it? So
that's for the really.
I would guess that means that it's 15% ethanol.
No, that means. So the lower the number, the less is.
Or is it the other way around?
Yeah. So SP 95, and then it has got E10 as usual. That means it's the 95 is the octane rating, because they also do the 98 as well.
Yeah, which is for all. That's what I put into the cars and the lawnmowers and stuff.
The 98 is doesn't really have any ethanol. Well, they're starting to put it in, but if you more or less now, the 98 doesn't have any ethanol in it, and it lasts for a long time because it's the ethanol in it that goes bad. So if you put the 95 with the E10, and so it's 10% of its ethanol, you put that in lawnmowers, chainsaws, and then just leave it for 6 months over winter or whatever.
Yeah.
It'll gum up in the carb, and you'll have trouble starting it, and you'll have to clean it out.
Yeah.
Which is why we did an episode, didn't we, on being prepared for winter.
Well, funny you should say that. Shall we take this opportunity through that highly professional and polished segue? Shall we go into the episodes?
Go on then.
So episodes 1, which was published on March the 9th, 2024. Expats living in France.
Yeah.
In this video, we talk about varied aspects of life in France, including moving to France, shopping in France, French neighbours, integrating into French society, and much more. So so that's an interesting one.
Well, yeah, we didn't really
know what he was doing, basically.
Yeah, but it still got 615 views, which is pretty good for us on a small channel like this. But it was quite an interesting insight generally into how we found about moving and living in France.
Yeah.
Which was really, really, really interesting. And then we did, I think the next one was DIY or
DIY materials, sourcing, and much more.
And much more, always much more.
Much more.
I found that quite interesting because there is a big difference on where you get your materials in France. So if you do looking to renovate or anything like that in France, go and have a look at that episode, because you can buy certain materials at one location and it's much cheaper than the other, but then when you go to the other one, there's other products that are cheaper than the first one. They could be really.
Let me ask you about it's not really DIY, I guess you call it more trade. There's a chain called is it Chausson?
Yeah, that's more that's down south, that one though, more than.
Right, okay. So from what I understand, they're like a trade supplier. With the equivalent up north where you are, would you need to show a SIRIT to open an account for that?
You normally need to get, right, let me get this right. There is a number you normally need to open a professional account. It's either a KBIS number or a SIRIT number will work. It just depends on the company, on their rules. It's nothing. I've actually got a personal account with one of the builders merchants, Denny.
Okay.
And I got that long before they started asking for numbers, and it gives me about, I don't know, 5 or 10% off. But I was lucky enough to start that about 10 years ago, and I just kept it going. But now, normally you have to show a number. So, yeah.
Just explain to me again what a KBIS.
Oh, now there's so many different numbers. I can't quite remember, but it's something to do with when you start a company, you get given a KBIS number if it's a construction company, I think, or something to do.
I've got an APE number, APE number.
There's so many different numbers.
Yeah, because when I registered with the local equivalent of the Chamber of Commerce, they issued me with because there's a SIRIT number, a siren number, and an APE number.
Yeah.
So
paperwork is not my strong point, I'm afraid.
Just another level of bureaucracy, isn't it? Just someone just popped into my head. I remember seeing a company that makes trailers for HGVs. It's normally like a grain trailer or something, and they're called thieving. So THIEVIN. Yeah, thieving. So
nice.
Based in Dagenham, apparently.
Oh yeah, lots of them as well.
Yeah. All right, so right, moving swiftly on. So,
oh yeah,
episode number 3, which was brilliant. I started watching it,
absolutely.
and started watching it earlier. So this was something that I'd not seen before. We did it, and I've not seen since.
No, and
So
it's a really, really good episode.
yeah.
So it's called, what's it called? I can't remember.
It's called The Family Left Behind, French Ear Trumpet, #3. In this episode, we have a special guest to discuss what happens when a family member moves abroad and how that impacts the family dynamic. Now, we got Jane's eldest daughter, Kelly, to come and talk. She had come over on a break with us. And some of it was actually quite emotional, really, because what was interesting also was that it sort of linked in with your experience as well, with how your parents left and then your brother left and then you decided to come over, and we talk about all that, and really, really interesting. As I say, no one's done it since.
No,
that I've seen.
It's good. Yeah, if you are a family member of someone, or you're thinking of moving to France, I guess is probably the main thing. If you're thinking of moving, if you watch that video, you'll see the effect that it has on the people that you leave, and it makes a big difference. I took away from that one. It makes a big difference if they're supportive or not. If they are supportive, it's quite a positive thing. And Jane's quite lucky in that respect, I think. So
yeah, I think if you're, as you say, in a position of thinking of going or are going, out of all the videos that we've done, out of all the French Ear Trumpets that we've done, I think that would be the one that I would encourage you to watch.
Yeah, because it's a subject that you don't see at all on YouTube.
No.
How do those people, what are they likely to be feeling when you leave, or you first explain to them that you're thinking of leaving?
Yeah.
And it's important to get them on board early on, I think. And if it's positive, then it can be quite helpful, and they can help you out a lot.
Yeah. What was also interesting about that was that the regularity of people that buy a holiday home eventually retiring to it or moving out to it. I can't remember when we bought a first place, whether we had, I don't think it was straight away that we talked about retiring there, but it wasn't long before we talked about maybe this is our future.
So you're saying that you bought it as a second home, and then once you'd enjoyed it or used it, you thought, well, might be nice to retire here.
Yeah, that's when we came out with the with that 5-year plan.
Yeah, interesting. So, and that I think we cover that in another video actually, but we'll get to it anyway. So that okay.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
that's a really good one to look.
Watch that one. So YouTube Life, French Ear Trumpet number 4. Graham from our French House Renovation.
What a fantastic guy. He's superb.
He's always good value.
He is.
I love Graham. He's a smashing fella.
He is such a nice guy, isn't he?
And well, he's had a bit of mojo deprivation, hasn't
he? Yeah, I've seen that. But he's back on it now, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was really interesting. He's, as I say, such good value.
Yeah, and that's about if you come over here and you start to want to film your own channel, some of the things you can expect and how you find it and how you find integrating with other YouTubers, which is how we met, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And it can be a positive thing, but it can also be sometimes negative, I think.
Things what you make of, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So next one, French Ear Trumpet number 5. One of my favourites, automobiles.
Some of the stories.
In this episode, we talk about the French experience of owning a car and take a walk down memory lane and chat about the cars that we've owned. That's
your
brilliant.
larder gets me.
Yeah, that was funny, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah.
That was a very good light-hearted episode. So if you're into cars, what it's like, but I think we discussed about buying and selling and in France as well, didn't we? So yeah, but mainly some of the cars we've had takes you back.
Yeah, happy days.
Absolutely brilliant. Love that one.
So
number 6, pets in France. That was interesting.
yeah, number 6.
Quite relevant
pets in
now.
France. In this episode, we talk about having pets in France, from chickens to dogs. We discuss the French way of pet ownership and how things have changed since Brexit. Yeah. So we've, I mean, Jane and I have talked about going back to the UK with Charlie, our Labrador.
Okay.
When we got him and we took him to the vet initially, he asked us if we wanted him microchipped and a pet passport. And at the time, we said we're probably not going to be taking him back to the UK, so no. On reflection, I'm going to be selling my car. Talking about cars, I'm going to be selling my Peugeot and buying a van shortly. So the plan is probably in the spring to go back to the UK in the van and take Charlie with us.
Oh, nice.
So over the next 3-4 months or so, we're going to have to get him microchipped and a pet passport, and get him the rabies inoculation or vaccination. That takes that's like, I think that's a 3-month process for the rabies.
It is, but now they have we were offered a new rabies vaccination for Rosie this year.
I remember you saying about this. Go on, just explain that.
Yeah, and it now lasts for 2 years.
Yeah, but no, what I mean is it takes 3 months. So you have the dog has one vaccination, then you have to wait 3 months, and then I think he has the second one.
Yep.
After 3 months, and after that he's then covered. I think 2 weeks after that. So it's going to take some forward planning for that.
Yeah, it didn't cost a lot when we did it, because we did it at the same time as vaccinations. About 20 quid extra.
Yeah, so
I think we covered that in the video.
Yeah, anyway, we definitely did talk about that.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so that's good. At the time when we talked about that, about chickens, we had all our chickens and been murdered by a fox.
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, countryside problems, eh?
That's it. So, French ear trumpet, brilliant name, by the way. How did we cut? That was you, wasn't it? You come up with that French ear trumpet. Absolutely.
Do you know where it came from?
Go on.
Do you remember Hello Hello?
You know what? I've never watched it. I know what it is, and I've seen clips, but I've never sat down and watched the whole episode. Right.
So in that, it's based around a fakey French.
Of course, yeah.
During the war, and they're hiding resistance fighters and all that sort of stuff. But one of the characters is a really old, cantankerous woman that lives in the loft in a bed, and she has an ear trumpet, and she's always getting it out because she can't hear what anyone's saying.
Yeah.
And I just had a thought of that, and I just thought it's got to be that.
What we should do because there was some talk about getting random French people onto this channel just to get some insight. We should show them an episode or some clips from Hello Hello, see what they think.
I think that's been done, not on YouTube, but it's certainly been done, and apparently they quite like it. So but that'll be interesting to find out, won't it?
So anyway, moving swiftly on, French ear trumpet #7 in holiday homes in France. In this episode, Andy Colin discussed the processes to consider when owning a holiday home in France.
Yeah.
From closing the home for winter to reopening for the spring and summer.
Yeah.
And there's also a link to your Hornet video.
Yes.
Which is really interesting. And if you have a holiday home in France, you need to look at Andy's Hornet video, because it's the key to the control is in the timing, isn't it?
That's right.
To be able to catch the queens before they get the chance to propagate.
Yeah, so basically Frelons or hornets, Asians and normal ones, around the end of March, when it starts to warm up, they come out of wherever they live in, the queens, and they go and eat all the rotten fruit that is lying around on the ground from winter. And then they get the energy and they go build their nests. So to minimize you don't want to be just wildly killing things for the sake
and stuff. Yeah.
So the video covers how to make a trap that you put out at the end, sort of mid to end of March, and it captures the queen, and it doesn't capture any other insects, which is quite strange. It just literally, if you do it at the right time, just captures the hornets and Asians or normal ones, and it's the queens, and some of them are big.
I know,
like, they're super, and you'll see in the video.
Some of them fly over. It's like a B-52 bomber going over, isn't it?
Yeah. So it takes a couple of years actually to reduce the impact. But last year, the year before, we had nearly zero where we are, because every March we capture the queens, especially the Asian ones, and they're the orangey type ones. Before they get to build a nest, because they can be dangerous we're not just doing it for the fun of it. They're really dangerous for small pets, even larger pets, larger dogs, cats, every year there's always a story of someone disturbing a nest and getting killed by them. So they are really, really dangerous. And if you've got Asian ones, the Mary will come and remove them for free, because they're just a pest and they invade and kill bees and all sorts of stuff. So have a look at that video. That's quite useful. Very, very good, and it's really simple, easy to make as well. You can just buy all the stuff at the supermarket and it's done. Yeah.
I always wondered whether it was that particular beer or you was just having a laugh with that particular beer. I don't know.
No, it is specifically that type of beer. You have to watch the video if you want to find out which one. And it works really well. Let's have a look. Number 8.
Okay.
No, hold on. No, that's. We've got 2 number 8s, incidentally. So the next one was things we find different with Robbie from Escape
and
to
some
Fun.
visa stuff. Yeah,
that was really good fun.
The description says, in this video we talk about the things we find different between UK and France. We also discuss visa and entry requirements for want-to-be residents. As always, Robbie's channel, link in description.
The thing about that video was it's quite good because you had different perspectives. So you had my perspective of coming pre-Brexit, but coming to work, if you like. You came retired, semi-retired with a pension, and then you've got Robbie who came after Brexit. So there's 3 different perspectives, and I can tell you, it sounds like a complete nightmare after Brexit.
Oh, don't. Yeah.
I think, if I'm being honest with you, I don't think I would now. If they had to make the same decision, I wouldn't move. I would still come over and use the maximum 90 days or a tourist visa, perhaps. But I certainly wouldn't, in this day and age, come over and make the final move, because I wouldn't speak enough French. So you'd have to. Does that make sense? So now you're going to have to get a job. You're going to have the good language skills. So it becomes immeasurably more difficult. Whereas before you could just say, I want to live in France, Germany, Italy. Just go.
I can't go like you did.
So exactly. But now I don't think I would. I don't think I'd possess the skills language-wise to do it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, Robbie's channel's doing really well. He's going to overtake me soon. In subscribers, and he deserves it as well.
The amount of work he puts into it is just staggering.
Oh man, yeah. I'll be proud to be linked to it.
Moving quickly on.
So, where are we? So we've got 2 number 8s. How did that happen?
I don't know. Childhood then and now. That was interesting. I enjoyed that one.
In this video, Colin from French Countryside Life and Andy from AJ in France discuss how different things were for us growing up in the 70s, 80s and 90s. We also talk about some of the world affairs, what is going on and what it is going to be like for children growing up in the future.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
I think the big takeaway from now is the internet and social media now.
Well,
I think
funny you should say that.
Go on then.
Funny you should say that, because I've been on your recommendation from our books video, which we'll come to. I've been listening to Edward Snowden's autobiography, I suppose, and he was fortunate, maybe. I guess that's the word. He was fortunate to have grown up right in the thick of the technological revolution and the internet revolution and computers, like home computers, right in the thick of it. So I think he was 6 when his father, who was a Coast Guard senior officer in the US Coast Guard, he brought home a Commodore 64, I think, and it was revolutionary, and to have a modem in your house, just completely revolutionary.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a different world now. I'm not sure we cover all this in there, but it's a good, interesting look at the differences that we find now. Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
What does it cost to live in France?
In this video, we talk about some of the costs of living in France. We discuss second-hand car costs, which are extortionate, car insurance in France, electricity bills in France, water bills in France, swimming pool costs, first world problem.
Yeah.
House insurance costs. We also veer off on tangents.
Never.
Surely not. Find it hard to believe. Yeah. Obviously, we're out of the loop, but are you aware of second-hand car costs in the UK being, or in the US being crazy as well?
I wouldn't know now.
Yeah, no, me neither. Me neither. Anybody watching who's still in the UK or in the US, give us some information in the comments down below about second-hand car costs, whether they've gone crazy or.
Yeah, interesting.
Interesting to know.
Yeah. Next one.
Okay, so that is
home improvements.
Home improvements, DIY in France. In this video, we talk about the differences in doing home improvements in France compared to the UK. We'll also give you some tips on what tools and equipment you need to progress your projects. We'll also give you tips on where the best places to buy materials are.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that I remember talking with you about setting up a workshop with you about your basic tools, and then what you would add as you went along. They're really interesting. For me, when you came to do the bathroom upstairs, there was 2 revelations for me. So the first one was cutting tiles.
Oh yeah.
There's a short knocking around somewhere where you score a tile and just break it over your knee. Love that. And also the Bosch 12-volt tools.
Yeah.
Following that, I was a complete convert.
Yeah.
And just went bananas on it and bought most of it.
If you could find a mug for your coffee with Bosch 12-volt written
Bosch 12-volt professional.
Well, we cover that in the video, and pound for pound, and what you normally use it for, you can't beat them. You really can't. In fact, quite a lot of my friends back in the UK have converted to them as well.
Really?
Just because they're so small and powerful, and the likelihood of you needing anything bigger for just normal DIY stuff.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, brilliant. Love that.
Next one, healthcare.
Where are we? Healthcare in France.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this episode, we talk about healthcare in France, from the emergency options to the routine medical options available to expats in France. Followed by, in the description, a list of the emergency numbers in France, which is quite interesting.
So yeah, that was interesting. But what I've since learned, and I'm still trying to get hold of somebody to come on and explain this a bit better as a guest.
Yep.
The done thing is, like in England, if you hurt yourself, you just drive to A&E or whatever. But apparently now that's, I'm going to say, frowned upon. Even if you've just injured your hand or whatever, you have to phone ahead. So you have to ring 15.
Okay.
Which is interesting. So no matter what it is, if you're thinking of going to hospital, you've got to phone 15, and they will, because they actually triage you over the phone, and they'll send someone for you if they think it's worthwhile. And it's actually really good. And I'll give you another example in a minute. But let's say you cut your hand and you think, yeah, that's going to need stitches. Ring 15 and they'll tell you which hospital to go to. Normally it's your closest one, but it might be that there's something happening there, or they're over. At the moment, there's about 4 hospitals in Rennes, but one of them is not accepting any A&E patients because it's got the Mpox virus there.
Okay.
So they're not taking any more as a precaution.
Yep.
But there's enough hospitals in Rennes, and you just get sent to another one. But if you'd have just turned up there, it's more stress and hassle. So you have to ring 15, and they will they'll notify the A&E that you're on your way in.
Yeah.
So that's the correct procedure, even if it's just a minor one and you think, I'm just going to take myself down there. They don't.
I wonder if
they prefer it.
I wonder if certainly living where we live, I mean, you've had experience of Conflon A&E. I think they'll be glad to see us.
It's not overstretched, is it?
Give them something to do.
There's no one there when we went, is there?
I know. Both times I've been there, and I was the only person there.
Yeah. Okay, moving on.
Number 12. Top tips for living in France. In this episode, we talk about top tips for living in France, learned through many years of experience. If you're thinking of moving to France or living there already, there'll be something you never knew, which can probably make your life easier.
Yeah, I don't think we need to spend much time on that, but basically buy a trailer, I think is the summary on that one.
Yeah. As long as it's under 750 kilos.
That's it.
Yeah. Moving swiftly on to
first world problems.
Unlike the Sun, 13. First world problems. This was just a bit of a jokey one, wasn't it? But in this episode, we talk about problems that seem so important to us, but in the grand scheme of things, aren't really that important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's plenty of them. In fact, most of them, to be honest.
I know. I've said this quite a few times, but the best first world problem was when I was driving someone in the car and they was complaining about they couldn't get the pH right in their swimming pool.
Yeah. So that was good fun. That was good. Number 14, movies.
Movies. We love a movie.
We are big movie fans, aren't we? So
in this episode, we get indulgent and talk about one of our favourite pastimes, movies. I'm not sure. Well, funny enough, I've got a little note about this. So, living in France, if you've got a Netflix account or Amazon Prime Video account, you'll find that unless you use a VPN, which has its own set of issues, as I'm sure you know, your Netflix and your Amazon Video will be geo-locked, so you'll only be able to get Netflix France or Amazon Prime Video France. Certainly the Amazon Video. I'm not so sure about Netflix, but curiously, sometimes when I go onto Netflix, it will show. When I go onto Netflix on the TV, it will come up with like the UK Netflix. So there was a movie called Yesterday. It was such a good movie.
The Beatles one, is it?
It is the Beatles one, yeah. As a guy who I think he gets knocked off his push bike, and when he wakes up, no one's ever heard of the beat. So he passes off all of the Beatles songs as his own. It's such a good idea.
I've seen the trailers, but I haven't watched it yet. I might get onto that.
It's a really good movie. Anyway, I started watching that before we came out to France to live, and I watched the first hour of it, I suppose. Then we came out to France, and I couldn't get it anymore. And the TV just went on to, like, every now and again, for some reason, it will go onto the Netflix UK, and I can watch stuff that I can't watch here normally.
Interesting.
Like, yeah, for example, Amazon Video especially. So I've changed over to an Amazon.fr account for shopping for Prime, which means that I can only get Amazon Prime Video, like the French version of it. So
go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say. So the Amazon, sorry, so the new Mickey Flanagan stand-up show isn't available on it.
Yeah.
But I can get it on my laptop. So what I'm going to have to do is get it on my laptop and then screen share it onto the TV.
Nice.
So
yeah, it's interesting, and but this is another Brexit thing. So before Brexit, it's a rule that a European rule. You should be able to live in any other European country and enjoy your things that you've paid for in your country as if you're there. So if you buy a French account and you go to Italy, Spain, or wherever, you will have access to that because, and I know this because I've seen people from other European countries come to France and they can get their Netflix no problem, and it's their countries. But and that's an EU rule, and it's the same. That's why you've got free roaming around Europe with your mobiles. You can use your mobile in another European country, and it's got to be exactly the same as if it's in your country. That's the whole point of the EU. But Britain isn't in the EU anymore, so that's the problem. There you go. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Okay. Fringe Trumpet 15. In this video, we discuss the differences in prices between UK shopping and French shopping. We talk about supermarkets, online shopping, and even travelling on a train. Yeah. So that's called the cost of living in France. I think the cost of living is just crazy, and we thought, when I say Jane and I thought it was, just because France is really expensive. But having talked to the girls back in the UK, it's crazy prices back there as well.
Oh yeah, I think even now more than ever, the prices are so similar, from what I've been told anyway.
Yeah.
It's just
on that video. There's also a link in the description to AJ's video on taking the train TER in France.
Yeah.
So that's definitely worth a look. So 15.
Oh, the elections in the UK.
Did we talk about politics and religion?
Yeah, I think we did, yeah.
Yeah, so in this video, Andy from AJ in France and Colin from French Countryside Life, link in the description, discussed the results of the UK general election and the first round of the French elections. How will this affect expats living in France, and what will it mean for the future?
Interesting. I thought that would get, he's got 97.3% of likes, and I thought we get absolutely, that's the thing about politics, isn't it? The second you discuss it, someone's going to agree with you, someone's going to disagree with you, and I think that's the whole point. As long as you can do that civilly, that's the whole point, isn't it, really? Otherwise everyone would be the same and it'd be a horrible place.
Yeah, I mean, we're only 10 days away from 10 days away from Trump's inauguration, so that'll be interesting.
And he's just been convicted, hasn't he, today?
Well, Well, no, I mean he was convicted before. He was due to be sentenced today,
sentenced,
and he got
a discharge.
a discharge. Yeah, Kel's surprise.
But the funny thing is, it still means, of course, that he is the leader of the world's democracies, and he's not allowed to vote.
Is that right?
If you're a convicted felon, you can't vote.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so he can't vote.
Okay.
What a mad world he lives in.
He doesn't need to, does he? Really?
Yeah. Okay, next. Oh, yeah.
Right. Conspiracy theories. The first conspiracy theories. Hashtag 17. In this video, Colin and Andy discuss the weirdest conspiracy theories that they've come across. And there's a legal, but this video is for entertainment only. Yes. Representation of our own personal views, nothing more.
I think that's just you hoping that someone dressed in black didn't come through your bedroom window at 2 in the morning. I think. Yeah, that was interesting. It's good fun, that one. Another fun video, that one. Yeah, but it didn't get many views, obviously, because it's quite niche, I think. But it was good fun to do.
And it's got nothing to do with France either.
No. Yeah. Or has it?
Or has it? We'll talk about that in the next one. Number 18. Our experience.
Yeah.
Special guest. Robbie.
He gets in there a lot, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, he does knock about. In this video, we are joined by Robbie from Escape to France, Charente, link in description, to discuss how our lives are going as expats from the UK now living in France. We discuss the language, buying chickens, job interviews, and much more.
Yeah,
and
it was good, really good, like original type. I wouldn't say boring, but all run of the mill, I guess. But stuff that you need to know, and just stuff to help you get along in everyday life. So that was quite interesting.
Yeah, Robbie's always good value as well.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
He's always good value. And there was a guest appearance by Charlie, Colin's new dog, who is 33.8 kilos as we speak.
It's not a dog, it's a horse, small horse.
Yes, indeed. So prepping.
Well, it's more when you say it's more like being prepared. So, in fact, both of your channel and Robbie's both had a video. I was watching them the other day actually, where you had generators and you used them. And recently, especially this week, I don't know if it's been the same down where you are, but there's a lot of people without power here in Brittany. The storms this week and the rain, there's loads of flooding. In fact, my basement has been flooded for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah, because you put that concrete slab in, didn't you?
Oh yeah, for the heating tank. Yeah, that was there was water in there. But this time, like this week, it's even worse. That does flood because it's lower than the ground level.
I was just going to ask, does that come up through the water table, or does that run in through the door? Because you got a back door, into the basement.
Normally, everything stays fine everywhere in there. But when I put this concrete base in, it's actually about, I don't know, probably 30 centimeters lower than the ground level. So that fills up with water.
So that's about a foot, isn't it?
I have no idea. 0.7 furlongs. I've got a plan for that, which I'm going to put into place whenever. Right. I'm not too fussed about it. There's nothing it can damage. But this year, and just this week, it's actually come in the front door to the point where there's about, 20 mil of water actually on the floor on the concrete, the original concrete, the original height. That's how bad it's been. And I've got some video of it, but I've never seen it like that before. So this week is pretty bad. Anyway, getting back to the YouTube video, it was about what you can do to prepare for that and what you should have, generators and, having stuff at hand that'll help you get through those situations. Because they do have.
I think the onset of COVID really focused people's attention, and all those wild-haired preppers, they was all there saying, "We told you." and there was a lot of them were quite sensible, really.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, okay, next one. This one really, really good. This one.
Well, hang on.
France with Faye.
Death in France with Faye. Yeah. She was a font of knowledge.
She was a lovely lady. Really.
In this video, we're joined by Faye, who brings her extensive experiences in France to discuss the topic of dying in France and what to do afterwards. The chat involves all the experiences we have had dealing with death and wills in France. It also includes some experience and topics to research further on making wills in France and the UK. Many thanks to Faye for taking part. It was a pleasure to have her in the chat. Yeah, really interesting.
Super. Well, one of my favourite ones. That I think I really like when we have a guest on. I think it's really, really good. But Faye specifically really knew her stuff, and it's a good one to watch because it kind of puts a bit more of an easy listen onto what would be normally a very serious subject.
Yeah.
So it's something we've all got to consider, and being faced with having to deal with someone passing away in a foreign country when you don't really speak the language or you don't know what's expected of you, it's a good video to watch to get you prepared and have a look at things to research in the future. So I'd highly recommend that to anyone who's thinking of retiring in France or coming to live here permanently, because you never know.
I think maybe this year we should work towards getting more people on. People that know what they're talking about.
What are you trying to say? Okay. And then we did another DIY one.
Yeah, there you go. So DIY number 21. In this episode, Andy and Colin chat about how to select a set of tools for a basic DIY kit. Yeah, that was good. The difference between the UK and France in relation to construction methods and various other subjects that come to mind. I'm reminded of that comment that, from someone who said that they had bought that book that you recommended.
Yeah.
That showed you all the recommendations and structural recommendations and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super. It's not cheap. I think it's about €40. But honestly, it really does give you all the information from everything from foundations to electrics to plumbing. Really, really good.
Yeah. So this is interesting. Moving on. Number 22. Something for everyone. This was when we had joined the 21st century and started using AI to write the video description, and it's a bit wordy. It is a bit wordy, isn't it? So, welcome back to our channel. In today's episode, join us as we dive into a casual yet captivating conversation between two friends. When are they turning up then? We explore a range of topics that pique our interest. Everything. I can't read this.
Oh yeah. It was just an interesting, last week's one where we just do a catch up of stuff, because it's nice to go through the comments and just discuss what's going on, really.
Yeah.
See real world stuff.
So that was 22.
23, books.
Books. Where are we? Books, yes, books.
Somebody, do you know, some people really didn't like that one.
Really?
Yeah, it's 96%. That's all of likes.
I suppose because it wasn't really French orientated, was it?
I don't know. Some people that. I don't know.
So the next one.
Oh yeah, this is that the one with my brother?
I think it might be. It's hard to tell because it's got the AI description on it.
All about artisans. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Linksdale Styling Company. Yeah.
It's interesting because that only got 200 views, which, to be honest with you, should have got a lot more, because the information in there is quite good if you're looking to employ an artisan or someone who's self-employed or a larger company. The differences between them and what regulations are enforced, because some apply to businesses, some apply to sole traders, and yeah, that's quite interesting to get a perspective from someone who's an artisan and has his own company.
I'll be really interested to know whether these AI constructed descriptions, whether they turn people off because they're very wordy, or people like them. So if you've got an opinion, put it in the comments down below, and I'll be really interested to find out about that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely. So this is it. Next one, winter is coming. So we did a quick in October. We did a video on what to do to get ready for winter. And
in this episode, Andy Colin, chat about the proper preparations for the approach of winter. You can tell we didn't use AI for that.
No, exactly. But it's interesting because you did things about what's involved in shutting down a swimming pool, and making sure that your house is, because some people have houses that they don't live here all the time, and they come for the season, and what you can do to prepare your house for the long cold winter, I guess.
Yeah, and it's good. It's important that you take that into account, because you can really come unstuck there big time.
Absolutely. Next one. Right. Next one. So this, got to be honest, was kind of a foray into seeing if we did something that we think people would like, as opposed to. But then when we got into it, we were like really interested in what we were finding and that sort of stuff.
It was difficult though, wasn't it? Because of the format that we do.
Yeah.
It was obviously we can't show pictures.
Yeah.
So it was difficult to make it. I know a lot of people just listen to this when they're, I don't know,
ironing,
mucking out the stables or ironing or whatever,
or both at the same time.
Yeah. So it's difficult not to be able to show pictures.
But nevertheless, it was quite popular, and I enjoyed that one as well, because it's different. It's really good to see. We did our best explaining it, but the different regions, departments, you can get a lot more for your money than in other places. So it was very interesting.
So next one is
another guest.
Cultural clash.
That's with Glenn.
No, that was the one before that. Cultural clash. What we noticed living in France versus the UK.
Yeah, didn't see that one.
So once again, we used AI. It's a bit wordy. So
I think.
So can't remember much about that.
The one after that was Glenn. Wow, what an
interesting guy.
Along with all our guests, I mean, he was brilliant, and he put a completely different spin on things to what we used to, really. I would love to get him back. I think we did say at the time we'll get him back, and I think that would be really good if we could do that this year.
Definitely.
And see how he's getting on, and it proved quite popular as well. So I think that was great. So Glenn has a background in architecture, doesn't he? And he's got a house in the south, in the kind of in the mountains, and
Carcassonne, I believe.
Yeah, and how he basically what he does here, how he got here, some of the difficulties of coming from America. It was really good. Really enjoyed that one. So it's
I think we'll definitely get back on.
Different.
The next one, number 29. Conspiracy Theories Part 2.
Was that with Robbie again?
That was with Robbie again. Brilliant. And we particularly enjoyed the thumbnail AI generated thumbnail.
That's right, yeah.
That was brilliant. So the description is, in this episode, due to popular demand, we are joined by Robbie from Escape to France, Charente, link in the description, to discuss some more conspiracy theories, including Hollow Moon, JFK, aliens, and a fascinating, horrible story of horse mutilation.
I think I got a text from one of our listeners,
Right.
said I couldn't watch that one. I couldn't. And was
Why
like,
was that?
I don't know. It's either your bag or it isn't. So that was interesting. The next one, talking French.
Number 30, talking French.
Yeah.
Talking French. In this episode, Andy and Colin look at the history of the French language, how it is used today, the best ways to learn it, and some of the peculiarities of speaking it. So that was interesting because I know that you've been on a steep learning curve, learning. Well, I mean, your French is pretty good anyway, I have to say, but to be able to work in a French workplace and discuss technical things in French, fair play to you, for doing that.
I've got to say, it's probably 50% me and 50% I've got a really good team that I work with, and they literally, you can tell like in the morning when they're all talking between them, it's really fast, really quick, and then the second someone includes me in the conversation, it slows down and everyone takes their time, and if I don't understand it, they explain it. So
fair play to them.
To have some people like that around you makes it so much easier.
Yeah, of course. Fair play to them. Charlie's just joined me under the desk.
Oh, bless him.
Next one, which was brilliant. I really enjoyed this one.
End of the world.
Frontier Trumpet 31, End of the World. So, including asteroid impact, supervolcanic eruption, nuclear winter, pandemic, solar flare, climate change, gamma ray burst, ice age, nuclear. Mate, don't start reading any long books here.
That I really enjoyed that as well. It was just another one of those fun episodes, but strangely, although it's not super popular, it was very well commented on. So we got loads of comments on it. Interesting comments as well. So I really enjoyed that. We may come back to that one later, I think.
Yeah, that's good. Enjoyed that. And Q&A. We finally did a Q&A. Number 32.
That was good. We had
we actually had a few more questions, got to say.
Well, we actually had more than we needed for that episode, but we would like some more questions, but probably nobody's watching now because we're an hour in. But and then obviously,
does that mean I can say what I like?
The what? Sorry.
Does that mean I can say what I like and no one's going to complain about it?
No, because you know what happens if you say something you. No. So the last one is last week's one was just what happened over the Christmas break, spending time at Christmas with French families and that kind of stuff. So
the differences between French and British holidays and a variety of different subjects.
Yeah.
So there we have it.
I just want to share with the group my experience at work this morning.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. He said that. That's brilliant. Go on.
So normally I'm the first one there. So I got there about 7:45 this morning and walked into where we all assemble in the morning, and there's a big table in the middle, and there's loads of bottles of champagne and chocolate on the table, and the boss has bought us all 2 bottles of champagne and a bar of chocolate each.
Nice.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
So that was good. I can't see that happening in the UK, to be honest.
In the staff from a Waitrose.
And it's not a carver or anything like that. It's actual proper
champagne.
Proper champagne.
Of course it is. So what I would say at this point, if anybody is still watching and you've got a subject that you'd like us to cover, then please feel free, just pop that in the comments, and we'll definitely look into that. Yeah.
I've had a request that we look more into food and cooking as well. So we could maybe do, if anyone else wants to hear about that. I'm not really a chef. I know you cook a lot, but baking and things like that, because there's some products and stuff you can't get here, but there are alternatives for. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah, and on my channel, French Countryside Life, I've got a sub series of what do the French really eat.
That's brilliant.
Which is good fun.
Some of it's pretty nasty.
For strong stomachs. Yeah, that's good fun. So, is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, I think we're pretty much there. That's a good recap of some of the videos, and it's good to watch this because people often skip the earlier videos, and there was some really good information there.
Yeah, really good.
And if I could highlight a couple, I'd say.
I was just going to ask you that actually, funny.
I'd probably say the ones that we've got people who know what they're talking about. So Faith for sure.
Yeah.
Glenn, and my brother. I think those 3 videos probably give you quite a lot of information. The good videos themselves, but will stand you in good stead if you're going to move to France.
Yeah, I think for me, the outstanding ones are Kelly at the beginning.
Yeah, of course.
Talking about families. Yeah. Robbie is always good value, and Graham, always good value, and your brother's a really good one, and Glenn as well. So all the guests basically, and don't forget Faye as well, as you say.
Yeah, but, absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna probably contact her and see if she'd like to come back on, because that was.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be good. Yeah, and I think going forward this year, I think getting more guests on, as you say, people don't know what they're talking about, will be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to actually try and get a real life French person on who speaks English.
A real life French person.
Yeah, but it's proving quite difficult because some people like the idea of it, and then the problem is they don't want to come on and make a fool of themselves because they don't speak good enough English. And I say, well, I do that every day at work. So
welcome to my world.
Yeah, we'll see how we get on.
Yeah,
but that's
brilliant.
That's it.
All right. So, hope you enjoyed that. I know I did. So, if you'd like to give the video a thumbs up, that'd be great. And maybe think about sharing it on your socials and press the notification bell so that you know when there's new content. Maybe think about subscribing if you're not subscribed already. And all it leaves to say is goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.